Welcome to English Vocabulary. Let's get started with the list.
In the blink of an eye.
Example: software that will do lots of boring calculations in the blink of an eye.
Like lightning.
Example: he leapt over the tailboard of the lorry like greased lightning.
A mile a minute.
Let's try it in a sentence. He talks a mile a minute.
Rapidly.
At a great rate.
For instance, the business is expanding rapidly. Next example: he drove rapidly to the scene of the accident.
In 2 shakes.
Example: I'll be back to you in 2 shakes.
Trice.
In a moment.
For instance, in a trice, she had flown up the stairs. Let's check another sentence. He should be here in a trice.
Like the wind.
Example: she ran like the wind back to the house.
In the wink of an eye. Before you can say knife.
Almost instantaneously.
For instance, the days rolled by in the camp, they were over before you could say knife.
In the wink of an eye, or in a wink.
Let's try it in a sentence. The listing was withdrawn, but I would have purchased it in a wink. Next example: she's a master of surprise, able in the wink of an eye to transport the reader from tranquil normality to stark terror. Next example: there is an atmosphere of depression at the club, but it can all change in the wink of an eye, he said.
In 2 shakes of a lamb's tail.
Example: compare with a semi-auto that can spit out a handful of rounds in 2 shakes of the proverbial lamb's tail. Another example: when you wake up in the morning, you start looking at the problem again, and in 2 shakes of a duck's tail, you've figured out the solution. Next example: you just take a seat, young un, and I'll be with you in 2 shakes.
In a twinkling, or the twinkling of an eye.
In an instant.
For example, they switch between parts in a twinkling, and alternate savvily between lead singers and backup. Next example: and, in a twinkling, the 2 largest girls had joined hands and made a sedan chair for Tate, and the entire party was hurrying on after Jenny. Another example: the Seagulls had 3 goals on the board in a twinkling, running to an 18-point lead before the Rebels finally scored just before the break.
Like a scalded cat.
For example, he walked stiffly towards it with his head thrust forward, and the cat scarpered like a scalded cat. Another example: when we first turned up for service of the documents in Perth, he ran away like a scalded cat. Another example: he took one look at me, half naked, 20 stone, 6 feet 5 inches tall and mad as hell, and took off down the road like a scalded cat, yelling abuse.
Like a bride's nightie.
For example, the future of their reunion has been up and down like a bride's nightie. Next example: first sign of a better offer and they are off like a bride's nightie. Next example: if the car was parked on a hill and there no friction between tires and ground, the damn thing would be off like a bride's nightie.
In the blink of an eye, or in a blink.
For example, he looks like a picture, frozen in time, one instant that happened in the blink of an eye, unnoticed and uncared for by the rest of the universe. Let's check another sentence. The canoe slides into the water in the blink of an eye, and before you can say Jack Robinson, it's 20 yards offshore. Let's check another sentence. Software that will do lots of boring calculations in the blink of an eye.
In, or like, a flash.
Immediately.
Example. Peggy was out of the car in a flash, with Mrs. Griffiths following her inside. Next example. He was onto it like a flash, racing into the penalty area. Another example. The weekend passes like a flash, and we return to the daily grind of college, waiting for it to come again.
Like, greased, lightning.
Let's try it in a sentence. He leapt over the tailboard of the lorry like greased lightning.
What do you think of this list? Please share your opinion in the comment section below. If you liked the video, please hit the thumb up and share it. Also, please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so. By the way, the photos on this video are street photography of London, and don't directly represent the topics. You can find the photographer's Instagram in the description below. If you have any suggestion for the video graphics, please let us know in the comments.